Slam Dunk exploded in popularity in the 90s, Japan saw a spike in students signing up for their school's basketball teams. Basketball changed from a small niche sport in Japan to connecting generations. Slam Dunk wasn't just a manga, it was a cultural phenomenon that directly inspired people to try out basketball for themselves. But is there another show that has had a similar impact? Maybe a modern one? If so, which? The answer kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Haikyuu. While it took some time, the series eventually gained significant status. Beginning publication on the 20th February 2012, it came into the industry at a point where competition was fierce, with giants such as the Big Three and Hunter x Hunter right by its side. Haikyuu author Haruichi Furudate had one big obstacle to overcome. The other big sports manga in Jump at the time, Kuroko no Basket, which had been running for, at that point, 3 years and was a well-established classic in the Shonen Jump magazine. But the question still remains, will Haikyuu achieve the same cultural status as Slam Dunk? Even decades after its conclusion, Takahito Ino's masterful creation still strikes Japan to this day. You'll hear professional basketball players and coaches cite specific panels or moments from the manga as a pivotal point in their career. It's a testament to the series' realistic portrayal and passionate storytelling that it remains a touchstone within the basketball community in Japan. But it's yet to see if Haikyuu will make the same impact on Japan that Slam Dunk did. We're talking about a show that is to this day referenced by basketball professionals and coaches alike, awarding Takahito Ino a special accommodation in 2010 for his help popularizing basketball within Japan. A work of art so masterfully crafted that with the help of a newly created movie called The First Slam Dunk, helped send the Japanese basketball team to the Olympic Games in 2024. Not an easy bar to overcome. With that said, the last Haikyuu movie alone in Japan grossed over $74 million and worldwide 140 million. Not only that, it made it so that most volleyball clubs inside of Japan were full to the brim and got a waiting list of up to 2 years. Participation numbers grew by over 35% and viewership across the country as well. So it's definitely holding up its weight, I don't think we can argue that. But now that the show is over, is the impact still there? Will the trend keep up, or will Haikyuu just be known as that other popular sports manga a few years from now? It's impossible to predict the future, and if I could, I would go back and stop 6-year-old me from opening Pokemon booster packs. But to truly gauge Haikyuu's potential for Slam Dunk level impact, we need to look closer at the echoes of the past. Did Slam Dunk experience a similar surge in participation after its anime aired? What were the key cultural moments that cemented its legendary status? The answer is yes, it most certainly held up over time, and had the same surge in popularity. It is very common in the anime and manga industry that a good anime will spark the sales of a manga, or in some cases a light novel. Sometimes this is just a benefit and the anime will still get finished. Sometimes they'll make a single season, and if you want to know where the story ends up, you'll have to go get the actual books. Like the very popular show No Game No Life. Sometimes I get a feeling that they make bad sequels on purpose, so I'm basically just forced to go and buy the manga instead. So yes, the search for Slam Dunk when it aired is similar to what, well, Haikyuu is experiencing. But what about storytelling and the influence on real-life people? Well, Slam Dunk author Ino has been a continued source of support for the basketball community, and even went so far as to establish the Slam Dunk Scholarship back in 2006, which aims to support aspiring Japanese basketball players to study and play basketball in the US. With that being said, Haikyuu is one of the strongest sports anime that we've seen in modern years, and the storytelling very much reaches the high of even stuff like Slam Dunk. You see, the main premise of Slam Dunk is the blend of comedy, drama, and character development. All three very important things that you want to have if you're writing a good story with a long-lasting impression on its viewers. And Haikyuu very much shares these features. And while storytelling is up to a lot of subjective takes, you can't deny the impact that Haikyuu and Slam Dunk has had throughout the years are very, very similar. The sport became widespread throughout Japan in both instances and inspired real people to go out and enjoy the sport. And NHK, one of the biggest Japanese news sites and, well, television shows, even made a documentary called We Became Strong Through Manga that specifically focuses on the real life influences that Haikyuu had both in high school level but also at the professional level, which you can watch for free on YouTube, and I will actually link it down below. A thing Haikyuu has when compared to other sports animes is realism. Most of the modern mangas nowadays, they rely on some kind of superpower, be it Blue Lock or whatever other sports anime there is there. There isn't much realism to it nowadays. Whether it be, as I mentioned previously, Blue Lock, Hajime no Ippo, or Kuroko no Basket. They're all great shows, I'm not gonna argue that, but they're not rooted in reality. Moments like Kagami leaping from the free throw line or Naki making the most impossible catches that are just implausible, even for top level professionals. Haikyuu keeps itself stuff down to earth. There are no insane power-ups, no demons living inside you, no spinny-ass Beyblades with demons living inside of them. Just a small boy who is really good at jumping. And another thing that Haikyuu does really well, which is kind of needed to make an actual good story that everyone can relate to, is, well, diversity. If you don't like Hinata, which honestly not everyone does, there's a lot of other great characters in Haikyuu that you'll probably fall for. I'd be very surprised if there isn't just one character in here that you fall in love with. And it doesn't have to be Hinata. That's one of the most relatable things and needed things in anime and manga. To be relatable, finding a character, finding someone that you can relate to one-on-one. This is why One Piece is as big as it is. Even if you don't like the main character Luffy, there's other people on the Straw Hat crew that you can actually relate to, or that you actually do like. I've met people throughout my life who don't like Chopper, as an example. He's one of my favorite characters, and I am not really a One Piece fan, if I'm being honest. Writing a sports manga that has such a long-lasting impression is hard. And writing a manga that actually impacts real-life people and inspire them to go out and become professionals in the sport is not an easy feat. While I do love Hajime no Ippo and Kuroko no Basket, it's not really a show I hear about, and I hear people who've actually gone out and became professionals because of this manga. I also do love stuff like Rikuro, but it has a similar impact. But with Haikyuu and with Slam Dunk, this is a common thing I hear, and not just from Japanese people. So yeah, Haikyuu does live up to the hype, and Haikyuu very much lives up to the bars of the past that Slam Dunk has set.